One story from which the Birhor can get encouragement is the Ajam Emba story. Here, in this restaurant in Ranchi, tribal culture is making its presence felt after decades of neglect and suppression.
Tribals are the nature people and they also eat the nature food.
This is a tribal food restaurant that is popular both among tourists who are hungry for the taste of tribal exotica and the displaced and suppressed tribal people who are hungry for a taste of home.
जब कभी गांव जाता हूं तो गांव की टेस्ट, गांव की माटी की महक वो अलग रहता है।
झारखंड है, धान की खेती होती है, जितने मिठाइयाँ बनती थीं, चाहे आरसा हो, चिल्का रोटी हो, धुगड़ी लड्डू हो, पीठा हो, सब चावल का। और बनाने का तरीका भी बड़ा खूबसूरत, मतलब लकड़ी के आग में बना हुआ, उसका टेस्ट ही कुछ और होता था। आज भी हम लोग बना लेते हैं, लेकिन गैस के चूल्हे का बना हुआ खाना और लकड़ी के चूल्हे का बना हुआ खाना में ज़मीन आसमान का फ़र्क। अभी भी हम लोग वो सारे डिशेस बनाने की कोशिश करते हैं जो दादी के समय में बना करता था। उस टेस्ट के लिए अब भी तरसते हैं।
गोंधली तो प्रायः समाप्ति हो चुका है, जो कि पौष्टिकता के आधार पर देखें तो ये बहुत ही हेल्दी खाना है, बहुत ही पौष्टिक गुण है इसमें। और उसकी खासियत ये है, झारखंड जैसे पठारी क्षेत्र में ये कम पानी में भी उपजता है। उसको मैं अपने रेस्टोरेंट पे या हमारे आदिवासी रेस्टोरेंट पे लाई हूँ। वो लाने का खास हमारा मकसद है उसको फिर से रिवाइव करना और प्रिजर्व करना हमारे खाने को।
Here, all the food is cooked using traditional utensils, methods and ingredients procured from tribal villages.
I thought this is the area I can do something for my society as well to revive or preserve the cultural identity through food and to preserve the traditional food.
The food is served according to tribal traditions and eaten in the way the tribal people eat. Probably this is the first sign of the ancient tribal culture of Jharkhand making a comeback on the canvas of overbearing modernization.
लोग यहाँ पे हमारे रेस्टोरेंट में आते हैं खाने के लिए। गोंधली हलवा या गोंधली खीर सुन के ही कहते हैं, अरे बाप रे, बचपन में खाया करते थे दादी नानी घर में, यहाँ पे गोंधली मिलेगा। तो खाने के बाद वो डेजर्ट के रूप में वो लोग खाना पसंद करते हैं गोंधली को। तो ये हमें बहुत ही संतुष्टि प्रदान कर रहा है।
This pioneering effort could be a pillar around which the other elements of tribal culture of the state could bounce back. Maybe this little restaurant could inspire the tribal people to claim back what is rightfully theirs. Apart from this restaurant working for a return to the tribal roots, is there anything else that could inspire the Birhor? These two people, Tapas Chakravarti and Khalid Muhammad, are immensely respected citizens of Hazaribagh, and they are out on the streets helping out the homeless, the hungry, who have no kin. They became social workers because they thought that serving others was a cause worthy enough to devote their lives to. They believe it's not enough to be compassionate. You have to act if you want the world to be a better place. The Bread Bank is a unique service dedicated to the poor, downtrodden and hungry population of Hazaribagh, wherein they collect extra bread and distribute them amongst the people who need them most. During one such bread distribution drive, they met a group of Birhor people. As usual, these people had been uprooted by civilization from their forests and huddled into cement and asbestos ghettos in Hazaribagh. Having been uprooted from their forests, where they had everything they needed, these Birhor people were hungry, naked and suffering. So these two Samaritans began with giving them food and clothing.
रोटी बैंक के तरफ से जब हम लोगों ने एक वक्त का रोटी देना शुरू किया उनको, तो हमको लगा कि इनको अपने पैरों पर खड़ा किया जाए, कैसे ये खुद का रोटी बना सके, खुद का खा सके.
They realized that giving the uprooted Birhor tribal people bread was just a short-term solution that would make the Birhor people more dependent on their charity and make them beggars in the long run.
बिरहोरों के बीच रोटियां बांटते हुए एक वक्त ऐसा आया जब ऐसा लगा कि आखिर हम कब तक उनको रोटियां पहुंचा सकते हैं. क्यों ना कुछ ऐसा किया जाए कि वो अपने पैरों पर खड़े हों और खुद की रोटियां खुद बनाने के काबिल हो.
They realized that the Birhor people needed to become self-sufficient and self-reliant once again.
बिरहोर के जीवन के उत्थान के लिए और उनका जीवन जंगल के परिवेश में अच्छी तरह से गुजरे और जो मूलभूत जो जरूरत है बिरहोरों को वो मिल जाए उनको, इसके लिए जंगल से जुड़े हुए रोजगार उनको हम उपलब्ध कराएंगे.
And the only way to do that would be to take them back to their forests and give them to do what they do best.
हम उनके लिए मछली पालन का व्यवस्था करेंगे, हम उनके लिए बकरी पालन का व्यवस्था करेंगे, रस्सी बनाने का उनको सामान उपलब्ध करा देंगे, मधुमक्खी पालन में उनको हम जोड़ेंगे.
हम लोगों ने शुरुआत भी की है बहुत छोटे पैमाने पे, लेकिन कोशिश है कि हम लोग इनके सामान को इंट्रोड्यूस भी करें और इनको उस जगह तक इंट्रोड्यूस करें कि ये खुद से अपना सामान लाके वहाँ तक पहुँचा सकें वैसी जगहों पे और प्रॉफिट कमाएं और रोटी बनती रहे.
They are excellent braiders. They have an excellent art. The Birhor tribals in Hazaribagh area have been seen and found that they've been excellent people with braiding of nets and snares. So the braiding of the Birhors with jute, they can make beautiful handicraft products which can be marketed to a premium urban clientele.
Jute, known as the golden fiber, has always been the best material to manufacture bags and sacks for over hundreds of years. India is the largest producer of jute and jute products in the world and produces over 10 million bales of jute fiber every year. With the trend of rejection of plastic and the resurgence of eco-friendly materials, jute seems to be making a comeback into the marketplace, both in India and the world over. With the increasing demand for jute, there is an increase in demand for skilled artisans who can weave jute products. Opportunity seems to be knocking on the doors of the Birhor.
This can generate an income, livelihood-based income for the Birhor tribals, and they can benefit by earning monetary values by selling the jute braided handicraft items like bags, coasters, mats.
If someone can get jute fiber to them and take back jute products from them to the marketplace.
ये सारे की चीज जो हैं वो जंगल से जुड़े हुए हैं और उनकी मानसिकता जंगल से जुड़ी हुई है, तो उस चीज को हम लोग उनसे लेकर बाजार में हम लोग जाएंगे, वहाँ से उसको बेचकर जो पैसा होगा उनको देंगे, उनके अपनी ज़रूरत के सामान उससे वो खरीद सके और अपने ज़िंदगी को अपने अनुसार वो जिए, यही हमारी सोच है.
This could be a great opportunity for the Birhor to defy the imposition of modernization and get back to their traditions and dignity and live the way that's unique to them instead of aping the inferior culture of materialism. The Sanskriti Museum of Mr. Bulu Imam reminds you of the culturally rich, organic way of life of the tribal people of Jharkhand that was always in tune with the environment. It makes you sad when you realize that glimpses of this proud tribal culture has been trampled and obliterated, and you need to visit this museum to see the elements that are not found in the modern world anymore. A visit to this museum could inspire the world committed to the Paris Climate Accord to start asking some fundamental questions about a sustainable way of life in the 21st century. Amongst the various elements of tribal culture preserved in this museum is Sohrai art. In fact, there is a whole mud hut to help the visitor feel the pulse of the tribal way of life. With the gradual disappearance of tribal art from the face of Jharkhand, antiquarian and art expert Mr. Bulu Imam and his family have made a valiant attempt to encourage tribal art and take it to the world to create awareness of it. They started an organization known as the Tribal Women's Artists Collaborative in 1995 to find ways of revitalizing the tradition. They created channels for increasing visibility for the women artists through collaborative exhibitions worldwide and developed techniques for transferring the mural designs onto paper.
That apart from NIFT and NID and organizations working with design, taking the indigenous motifs of the Gond, the Warli, the Bihar, the Jharkhand art and turning them into motifs that can be put onto textiles or ceramics. Apart from that, there are certain events in art today which involve enormous amounts of money and some of the best tribal artists.
This has provided mural art practices with new currency and longevity. Justin Imam and his wife Alka encourage women to continue to paint murals on the walls of their houses.
Perhaps the most famous name in the art of India would be the Gond artist, Jhangar Singh Shah. He was a Gond artist. He was discovered in 1989 by J. Swaminathan, and he was turned into perhaps the most prolific tribal artist in history. His prices are enormous. He was famous for his snakes in trees. He's famous for that. That's his leitmotif.
In addition to paper-based paintings, if the mural traditions are to continue, it is crucial that they remain embedded within the architectural, social, religious, and ecological life of the village communities. The challenges faced by the women artists reveal that the mud murals are not just painted surfaces, but a complex and rather fragile ecology of practice.
To the tribal, his worldview is dependent upon his arts, his literature, oral literature, his knowledge of his relationship with the plants and animals which he is treated as his brothers and sisters.
Mr. Imam's work with Adivasi artists has developed over the decades of the 1990s and 2000s to become a globally recognized institution. This has also led to the empowerment of the women artists and presented a strong case for the recognition of indigenous rights in international forums. Mural artists from Hazaribagh were already gaining visibility in circles as far as Europe and Australia.
We have been very successful in making the Sorai art by the women artists find a place in the art world in India and abroad, very successfully earning monetary gains for the artists as well. As has been seen in Australia, the Aboriginal art in Australia found a wonderful art world and appreciation all over the world, and it has become something of a premium commodity to be acquired by art galleries and museums and art connoisseurs and collectors.
When we have, say, present tribal art of Jharkhand like the Sorai and the Khova being turned into a modern abstraction at the will of some cultural gurus, then that will eventually happen to the Birhors too.
Our success story with the Sorai and the Khova paintings, which is now world over recognized, could be definitely replicated as something which would give the Birhor nomadic tribals another avenue of earning an income and a livelihood.
The Birhors paint animals and birds with great feeling.
Art that the Birhor have, which they draw with charcoals on their walls, could also bring their world of the wilderness, the world of their nomadic foraging and food gathering, could bring in a monetary benefit to these people to still be living in their Salvian worlds and have a bit of the monetary benefits and yet retain their primordial state of living. And we think this could be definitely very beneficial for the Birhors.
Either market their products so that the benefit can go back to them, or leave them the way they are.
If the Birhor is left alone by the government, then the government will be doing a great service to the Birhor.
New Zealand, probably Australia, certainly Canada, United States. I've seen it in Latin America too, in Ecuador and other places where there's a strong assertion now of indigenous identity.
दादाजी बाहर रहें, पिताजी बाहर रहें, और अभी तीसरी पीढ़ी वापस गांव में ही घर बना रही है. मतलब ये कहीं ना कहीं है कि बाहर रहने से अच्छा है अपने गांव वापस जाए, नौकरी जिसे करना है नौकरी करे बाहर, लेकिन घर गांव में.
The indigenous people that have gone furthest in this are maybe the Maori in New Zealand, where not only they have education in their own language, so they can do PhD in their language, writing the thesis. I mean, what Santali, let alone Birhor, is allowed to write their PhD in the language. It's unthinkable at the moment. Slowly, in the so-called developed countries that have indigenous populations like Sweden, Finland, Norway, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Canada, United States and other countries too, the indigenous lands are being returned to the indigenous people.
As we have seen, the return of Aboriginal lands in the Northern Territory was the result of Gough Whitlam's decision as a Prime Minister to return the land to the Aboriginals. And if we can see such a thing happening with the Birhor, it would be a great thing.
They're real survivors. They've learned how to live at the margins of society, and rather than trying to settle them in substandard houses and make them be settled as opposed to migrating, which is much better for the forest and for them, we need to respect them. We need to learn them. We need to respect their independence, their autonomy. Their autonomy is the essence of this amazing culture that is India.
The Supreme Court of India put on hold its order directing states to complete the eviction of tribals and forest dwellers whose claims over forest land were rejected under the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers or Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta told the bench that the centre wished to take a holistic relook at the matter in the larger interests of tribals, farmers and forest-dwelling communities. He said the protection of forest-dwelling tribes is consistent with the protection of forests. This seems to be a step towards protection of the forests and the forest people, and a step away from the agenda of mainstreaming indigenous people and letting mining, industry and infrastructure destroy the forests and its dwellers.
Them living on the land, it may seem uneconomic, it may seem there's no big economic benefit. Look how much this land is worth, look how much the minerals or the water is worth. But it's worth more than money, because they are, just by living on the land, living in their way of life, they're conserving the whole of so many ecosystems for future generations.
Does this change in attitude of the government hold out hope for the Birhor, the people of the forests? Will the other tribal people also reclaim their culture and heritage from the grip of the modern man? Will the Sadhana religion break its urban shackles and reclaim their bongas and the spirit of nature worship? Will mining be banned or at least restricted to preserve the rock art of Hazaribagh that has been there since 10,000 BC?